days, one didn't see it very often, and I saw Mick Jagger on the stage, and God, I mean, it did me in.
Pete Townshend once smashed his guitar after hearing a certain band's performance.
What's it got to do with you? My fucking guitar? It's the brute force.
Declaring them the complete destruction of everything rock and roll was supposed to represent. The mastermind behind The Who wasn't just famous for destroying instruments on stage, he was equally destructive when it came to demolishing other bands with his words.
The triangle was going to be The Who, the Stones and the Faces. Rod Stewart never got in the loop. I think he may have been unkeen on the idea.
The architect of rock opera and power chords never held back when discussing bands he considered fraudulent, boring, or downright offensive to his vision of what music should accomplish. Townshend viewed rock as a revolutionary force that could change society. So when he encountered groups he felt were wasting that power, his responses were nuclear. These weren't mild disagreements about musical direction. These were declarations of war against everything he stood against. Townshend's critiques carried enormous weight because of his innovations and influence on rock music. When the man who wrote My Generation and Won't Get Fooled Again called out another band, the entire music community paid attention. His attacks weren't driven by jealousy or commercial competition. They came from someone who believed deeply in rock's potential to challenge authority and inspire change. Today, we're revealing Pete Townshend's most explosive condemnations of fellow rock bands. From progressive rock groups he thought were pretentious nonsense to punk bands, he felt missed the point entirely. These conflicts show the passionate, uncompromising vision of one of rock's greatest innovators and biggest personalities. 6. Yes. Starting our countdown at number 6, we have Yes. And Townshend reportedly considered them the ultimate example of progressive rock's worst tendencies. While millions of fans were marveling at their complex compositions and virtuoso performances, Townshend allegedly saw them as musical masturbation.
He was somebody that his fans had turned into a kind of guru, and he has this rise and fall
that completely ignored rock's basic purpose of connecting with ordinary people. Townshend supposedly despised how Yes created 20-minute songs that required advanced musical education to appreciate. He reportedly felt that their elaborate arrangements and classical influences were turning rock into an elitist art form that excluded the working-class kids who originally made the genre powerful. While Yes was being praised by critics for their sophistication, Townshend allegedly saw them as traitors to rock's democratic spirit. The philosophical divide was enormous. Townshend believed rock should be immediate, emotional, and accessible to everyone, while Yes was crafting intricate musical puzzles that seemed designed to impress other musicians rather than move audiences. He reportedly said that Yes represented everything wrong with 70s rock, bands showing off their technical skills instead of channeling raw human emotion. What particularly irritated Townshend was how Yes influenced countless other groups to prioritize complexity over communication. He allegedly worried that young bands would see Yes's success and think that being complicated was more important than being authentic or powerful. Townshend supposedly felt that this trend was killing rock's rebellious spirit and turning it into academic exercise. Industry sources claimed that Townshend would openly mock Yes's lengthy compositions, saying that any song that required an intermission was missing the fundamental point of rock music's immediate impact and emotional directness. 5. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. At number 5, we have Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and Townshend's hatred for this trio was apparently legendary within rock circles.
Came up and said, I can play better than him. And this horrible impudent with his hair down like this.
He reportedly saw them as the absolute worst example of rock musicians abandoning their roots in favor of classical pretensions and technological gimmickry that served no real musical purpose. Townshend allegedly couldn't stand Keith Emerson's keyboard theatrics, particularly his habit of playing multiple keyboards simultaneously and incorporating classical pieces into rock arrangements. He reportedly felt that ELP was showing off rather than creating genuine emotional connections with their audience. and that their elaborate stage setups were compensating for lack of real songwriting ability. The band's use of orchestras and complex arrangements supposedly drove Townshend to distraction. While ELP was being celebrated for bringing sophistication to rock music, Townshend allegedly saw them as missing the entire point of what made rock powerful in the first place. He reportedly said that rock's strength came from its simplicity and directness, not from trying to compete with symphony orchestras. What really bothered Townshend was how ELP's success encouraged other rock bands to add unnecessary complications to their music. He allegedly felt that their influence was making rock less accessible to regular people and turning it into something that required musical training to fully appreciate. Townshend supposedly believed this was fundamentally anti-rock and anti-democratic. Concert industry insiders claimed that Townshend would deliberately schedule Who performances to conflict with ELP shows whenever possible, and that he would make disparaging comments about their circus act approach to live performance during his own concerts. Number 4, the Eagles. Number 4 brings us to the Eagles, and this feud was particularly intense because Townshend reportedly saw them as everything wrong with American rock's commercial direction.
2 shows. They were brand new, they were young, they had one hit with a Chuck Berry song called Come On.
While the Eagles were dominating radio and album sales with their polished harmonies and radio-friendly sound, Townshend allegedly viewed them as corporate rock that had abandoned all artistic integrity for mass-market appeal. Townshend supposedly couldn't tolerate how the Eagles crafted songs specifically designed for radio rotation rather than expressing genuine emotions or ideas. He reportedly felt that their meticulous production and calculated songwriting represented the complete commercialization of rock music, turning it from art into product designed solely to generate profits. The band's massive success apparently made Townshend even more critical. While the Eagles were selling millions of albums and filling stadiums, Townshend allegedly felt that their popularity proved that audiences were being fed sanitized, non-threatening music that challenged nothing and changed nothing. He reportedly said that the Eagles were rock music for people who don't actually like rock music. What particularly frustrated Townshend was how the Eagles' influence was shaping the entire music industry towards safer, more commercial sounds. He allegedly worried that record companies would use the Eagles' success as a template, encouraging other bands to abandon experimentation and social commentary in favor of pleasant, marketable music. Industry gossip suggested that Townshend would become visibly agitated when the Eagles received critical praise or industry awards, feeling that their recognition was encouraging the music business to prioritize profit over artistic vision and social relevance. 3. Genesis, post-Peter Gabriel. At number 3, we have Genesis after Peter Gabriel's departure, and Townshend's criticism of their transformation was reportedly brutal. While fans were divided about the band's evolution from progressive rock to pop success, Townshend allegedly saw their change as the ultimate betrayal of everything rock music was supposed to represent. Townshend supposedly despised how Genesis abandoned their experimental edge in favor of MTV-friendly videos and arena rock anthems. He reportedly felt that Phil Collins' leadership had turned the band into a pop machine that prioritized commercial success over the artistic innovation that had originally made them interesting and important. The band's massive commercial success in the 80s apparently made Townshend's criticism even harsher. While Genesis was achieving their biggest sales and mainstream recognition, Townshend allegedly saw this as proof that they had completely sold out their artistic vision for money and fame. He reportedly said that watching Genesis's transformation was like watching your children grow up to become everything you despise. What really bothered Townshend was how Genesis's success story became a model for other progressive rock bands. He allegedly felt that their commercial evolution encouraged other experimental groups to abandon their artistic principles and chase mainstream success instead of pushing musical boundaries or challenging audiences. Record industry insiders claimed that Townshend would openly question Genesis's integrity during interviews, suggesting that their transformation from art rock to pop music represented everything wrong with how the music business corrupted genuine artists and turned them into entertainment products. Number 2. The Sex Pistols. Number 2 is the Sex Pistols. And this might surprise punk fans who would expect Townshend to appreciate their rebellious attitude. Instead, he reportedly saw them as fake revolutionaries.
Because everybody wanted one band to do it. And the Sex Pistols were obviously the most significant.
Who were manufactured by their manager Malcolm McLaren and had no genuine understanding of what real rebellion actually meant. Townshend allegedly couldn't stand how the Sex Pistols claimed to represent authentic punk rebellion while being completely manipulated by their management team. He reportedly felt that their anti-establishment poses were just marketing strategies designed to shock audiences and sell records rather than genuine expressions of social frustration or political anger. The musical criticism was equally harsh. Townshend supposedly said that the Sex Pistols couldn't actually play their instruments well enough to be taken seriously as musicians, and that their deliberately amateurish approach was insulting to bands who had spent years developing their craft. He reportedly felt that their success encouraged mediocrity and made musical incompetence seem rebellious. What particularly irritated Townshend was how the Sex Pistols were being called innovators when he felt that The Who had been expressing genuine rebellion and social criticism for over a decade before punk existed. He allegedly resented how younger critics were treating punk as something completely new while ignoring the groundwork that earlier bands had laid. Industry sources claimed that Townshend would become genuinely angry when the Sex Pistols were compared favorably to The Who, feeling that such comparisons ignored the musical sophistication and genuine social consciousness that separated real rock rebels from manufactured punk posers. Number 1. Led Zeppelin. And here we are at number 1, Led Zeppelin. This is the most shocking feud because both bands were British rock giants, but Townshend reportedly despised almost everything about Zeppelin's approach to music. I'm gonna give you my love. Oh! And their massive success built on what he considered stolen material and empty showmanship.
I haven't liked a single thing that they've done. I hate the fact that I'm ever even slightly compared to them.
Townshend allegedly couldn't stand how Led Zeppelin achieved fame by taking blues songs from Black American musicians without proper credit or compensation. He reportedly felt that their entire catalog was built on plagiarism and cultural appropriation, making their success fundamentally dishonest and exploitative of the very artists who created the music they were profiting from. The musical philosophy differences were enormous. While Townshend was trying to push rock music forward with concept albums and innovative compositions, Led Zeppelin was reportedly just recycling old blues patterns with louder amplifiers and longer guitar solos. Townshend allegedly said that Zeppelin represented everything backwards about rock music, looking to the past instead of creating the future. What really infuriated Townshend was how Led Zeppelin's massive commercial success overshadowed bands who were actually innovating and creating original material. He reportedly felt that their popularity proved that audiences preferred familiar blues patterns played loudly over genuine artistic development and social commentary. The personal rivalry became even more intense because both bands were competing for similar audiences and critical recognition. Townshend allegedly resented how Zeppelin was being called the greatest rock band in the world, when he felt that their entire reputation was built on stolen songs and Robert Plant's theatrical posturing rather than real musical achievement. Industry insiders claimed that Townshend would actively avoid events where Led Zeppelin members were present, and that he would make cutting remarks about their borrowed success whenever their accomplishments were mentioned in his presence. He reportedly saw their legacy as fundamentally fraudulent and harmful to rock music's development. So, there you have it. Pete Townshend's most explosive band rivalries. Which takedown shocked you the most? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this rock and roll drama, hit that like button and subscribe for more music feuds.